Hello and welcome to another edition of the Hurry Up on the SportsHeads from Verge magazine. I am joined by my two merry men, Daniel Falui and Sam Morgan. How are you guys?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, not doing too bad, Dre.
How are you guys coping with the well, I think we're kind of, some people are on lockdown, some people are not. I don't know what's going on. I'm seeing a whole bunch of people fighting and queuing outside of Nike Town. So and then there's some people that can't even get into their office. So it's a bit of a weird world we're living in. What are you guys saying about that?
Depends on your priority, I suppose. But
fight for them sneakers, boy. You got to fight.
Yeah.
You got to put them elbows out. You got to want it. How much do you want it?
I'm still that online shopper, mate. No way am I getting involved in that, man. I've seen some of them queues are crazy.
Mm. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that I saw queues like for Foot Locker like mad, and I thought there was just been online shopping already by now. Like it's 3 months, and then now you're waiting in line. Well, waiting ridiculously in line for sneakers is a bit over the top for me.
The thing is, for the sneaker world, there are a few editions that got released and are still in the shops. So I think people are still trying to get a little bargain or ones that they didn't cop. So I get that.
And what's the discounts?
You love a discount. Yeah, you love a discount. Now, there is a few. The online sales are still there. People obviously have got things to shift. But the good thing is, obviously, with these changes, we are coming to the end of the... Hopefully, we're getting there and we're seeing a bit more of the light, right? But I went back to football yesterday, actually. So... did my first training session in 3.5 months. So
puff out the cobwebs are out.
It was more than cobwebs, man.
It was dust.
Yeah, it was like sand. It was like when they unearthed the Jumanji box. It's like that, and the sand coming off the boots.
What position you play, Sam?
I'm actually a manager now, but I'm a fullback by trade, should we say?
He's got lead as an example from the front, sprints. Squats, burpees, everything like that was going on. Meanwhile,
I'm a pointer, not a doer. That's it. This is how you do it. Yeah.
Right. So guys, we had a great first edition of our new format last week, where basically we give each person who's talking 3 minutes to be able to make their point, and then it goes to the next person. We usually have that subject going on for around about 10 minutes. So we will start off with the NBA. Big story here. Obviously, there was just as a background, there was a call with all of the players, obviously speaking about the bubble that they're going to be having in Orlando, Disney World, to be able to finish off the season and go for the playoffs, so forth. And Kyrie Irving was one of the biggest players, and who actually came out and said, well, maybe we shouldn't be playing, or he just strongly pointed out that the players shouldn't be playing because he's taken away the limelight from the actual movement with the Black Lives Matter protests and the fight against systemic racism. He thinks that the spotlight will be better served, still being on that. And then obviously there's some players who are like, well, you can say that because obviously you have your shoe deal and you have a max contract of money and you're okay, but I need to work. So I will start off with asking Daniel, what is your views on that? And your 3 minutes starts now.
I think firstly, I'm not against what he said in terms of sort of understanding your power and understanding that you want to sort of take action and sort of stepping away from it. I think where he's sort of lacking for me is just, what are your objectives? I don't mind you saying that we're going to stop, but then what do you want to see for you to go back to basketball? Do you want to see reforms? But how does the reforms look like? And I think a lot of times, especially when it comes to these situations, we are asking athletes to do something that usually politicians or people that are geared to speak, like leaders like Obama, to actually say stuff and put laws in place. And act like they're the spokesperson when they're not. They're athletes. Not in disrespect to them. It's just they're not trained to do that. And I think with Kyrie, that's a perfect example. I agree where he says in terms of understanding and utilizing your power. You look at sort of Rashford. He said, "Look, we've got to reverse food stamps," and that was his goal. And I think with Kyrie, I'm all for what you're going to say, but it's just, what is your goal? What do you want to see achieved? Because if you're going to ask for the entire sort of body of systematic racism to be wiped out, it's not going to be done by the end of summer. That's going to be a few years. It's going to take a time. And I think also at the same time, you're also a player. You've signed a contract. You're meant to play. Well, I agree with your platform. I also agree as well. You understand that if you don't play basketball and the collective bargaining agreement, loses out as well. So I think it's a catch-22. And it really just depends on the money. And I guess some people are right. You're making millions of dollars. You've got shoe deals. You've got endorsements. Someone who's maybe the 13th man on the team doesn't necessarily have all that. Maybe he's making bare minimum. But then also the flip side of the argument could be bare minimum is like 750,000 or so. So, bare minimum is still more than a lot of people are making. So, to make that argument, whereas, oh yeah, I need to feed my kids is, mate, over 50% of the people are feeding your kids on less than bare minimum of the NBA wages. So I'm pretty sure you'll be fine with that. So yeah, I mean, I see Kyrie's point. I'm not against it, but I just need tangible action and tangible goals so I can really get behind it and go from there. I mean, if you're going to be Kyrie, say maybe go to like Georgia and the way they're suppressing voters' registrations, just say, look, I'm not playing in Georgia until this changes. Until you release all this stuff and make some acidine rules that your number on your card has to be the same number of letters as your name. So, some next rules. I mean, I'm not privy to the ins and outs, but I'll do something like that and just say that to people. And once you have those laws, then that's really it.
Sam, what is your take on the situation? Do you feel that Kyrie has a point, or do you reckon that he could actually be doing more, something smarter with the opportunity to be in the spotlight?
I think he's taken the opportunity he's jumped on the opportunity now rather than sitting back and just maybe thinking about how he could do it. But I think that could have gone a completely different way for him if he'd sat back and tried to obviously get his head around it. The season starts again in Disneyland, by the way. Do you know what I mean? This whole fairy tale thing, that I think it might be clouds and people suddenly forget about what's actually going on and what that bigger picture is. So I think he's made that choice to just come out of it now, to make it a big point, show not just the league, but, the country and the world, I suppose, that, this still does mean a lot to him and the rest of the players. So I think now is an opportunity now for the league to work hand in hand with him to go, actually, yeah, let's all do something together. I think there's still a way around where he could potentially still play. He doesn't have to sit out and maybe just deliver a message during each game or something like that. There's just, so it works both ways. Like you say, he is under contract, but they don't want to, the NBA are a lot better than some organisations where they're just expected, no, you sign, you're playing. If you're not, you're cut. They've got a lot more to offer, I think, the NBA in that market. So I'm on his side. I am on his side 100%. I just think that now is a time where him and the rest of the players need to form almost their own sort of governing body to deliver this message correctly. And you Daniel, you're spot on with what Rashford's done. He's been kind of fortunate that he's been able to kind of deliver this message and get it done in the time he's not been playing. This is now coming up to a point where these guys are about to start playing again. Can they still deliver that message at that point is a different story entirely. But I don't see anything wrong with it. I still think but as I said, I still think he should play. That's my thing. I think he should play, but find the right ground to deliver this message and make it clear to people, look, we do care. People aren't going to think, oh my God, he's playing, he doesn't care about what's going on in the country. I don't think that's the case, especially with what he's just done now. So let's say I don't see any issues. And yeah, good luck to the league, and hopefully they do obviously manage to sort it out. But yeah, now's the time. But he can't be one-man band, by the way. Just saying, it can't be one-man band. It'd be nice to see your LeBrons and the rest of the guys that do have that face. And like you touched on, Daniel, yeah, he does have a big contract. Now, if you're a rookie and on small money, are you going to try and ruffle the feathers? Probably not, because the next rookie's coming. So don't do it. It's got to be that elite table, and we'll be good from there. So,
I mean, just on that point, actually, Sam, you made a really valid point. I think the thing is that we're obviously from another point of view is that the teams are you've got people in the squad who are just bench players, role players, and obviously they're not earning that big time money. And obviously, you're leaving a lot of money on the table with the collective bargaining agreement if you don't actually, play, because obviously a lot of that will just be taken away. So you're leaving a lot of money on the table, which I think personally, it's not a wise thing to be able to do. Do you guys think that Kyrie should actually come out of a clear plan, as you said earlier, Dan, where this is what we're going to do and this is how we're going to bring attention to it, and then this is how we're going to make change completely, but obviously knowing that it's not going to be happening, all of a sudden straight away. So like maybe funding, black universities or something like that, making sure that there's more funding coming from the NBA for that or something like that. What do you think?
I think you're right in that. I think also it needs to be a question of, Kyrie sitting in, like I said, he's sitting in a very luxury position compared to other players. And, you got the flip side is, you don't want to play, but Kyrie, how much of your money are you actually giving to these organizations as well? Not to sort of, call him out in that regards, but it's also, it's very, some people can look at this and say, look, we want to fight, we're on the ground, give us money to help with this. You boycotting not playing NBA isn't going to help. I think it's a catch-22 because people, even when the NBA does start next month, people are still not going to be working. People are still going to be out of jobs. The COVID situation hasn't cleared up, so it's not like everyone's getting back to work. So I think it's a situation where, yes, you've got people where they're still going to be watching, they're still going to be listening, they're still going to be attentive to the news. But I think also at the same time as well, if you're playing, people are going to be watching, people are starved for sports. And if you make sure it's an issue where you talk about it all the time, every game, then you're also reaching out a big audience. And I think one thing that Kyrie forgets is not everyone's on social media. So not everyone is going to be listening to your message on social media. Some people only watch the information through the TV, through the news and through sports news. So if you don't play, they're just going to be like, okay, well, I'm just going to continue watching basketball. Whereas if you do play, you wear the shirts, you speak before the games. After the games, you still speak. And like I said, you go to these owners and say, I'm not playing till you help with legislation, because you look at what NFL did with Arizona and the MLK Day. So I would be like that. And I think the first thing for me, if I was Kyrie, I would push for a recognition throughout the whole US, an actual recognition day on the day slavery ended. I think it's a bit travesty for a country that claims to be the greatest and the most free country in the world. You don't have a day to recognize when people were actually free in the country and, were no longer slaves. I think I would really push for a national holiday on that day.
So Sam, do you feel that it's telling that at the time of recording, before the LeBron fans, kill me, that LeBron hasn't actually made more of a statement or come more out and been more outspoken on this?
I think LeBron does. The thing is, LeBron does do a lot outside of, like you say, what you don't see on social media. Potentially, we get snippets of what he does. I think he does actually contribute a hell of a lot. The difference, I think, with LeBron as well is that the people behind LeBron aren't going to get him to jump up and down straight away. Like, he's a bit more calculated in his decisions, I think, and that's not. Again, no disrespect to Kyrie Irving, because it's important he does sort of jump up, and so it causes a bit of a sort of ruffling of feathers. But LeBron's people are a little bit more chilled on that. I was just thinking, actually, just on that point about Kyrie Irving as well, is that why doesn't he just play an hour of basketball and then the money that he's earned for that game give to whatever he needs to give? So, whether it is the universities or one of the BOM organizations there, like the charities there, why doesn't he do that? Do your bit. What are you good at that can contribute? You're not a politician, but you are a showcase face of a sport that your fans are going to want to still see you, and give them that bit of hope. It's all the rubbish that goes on. Everyone still wants to see sport. I don't care what's going on in the world, what background you're from. If you can watch any inkling of sport, it seems to put a smile on your face, win, lose, draw, So I think he'd be more suited to that. With LeBron, I think he'll do that. And as I say, LeBron does a lot. And you've seen he learned from the best, I think, where you look at Michael Jordan and you look at Kobe. They both contributed to schools where they'd come from and other, obviously, backgrounds that they were similar to theirs. So I think LeBron's been doing that, and I think he will continue to do that. And it won't be long before we actually see that he's actually going to be able to come up with something new, I suppose.
Well, I mean, I just hope that obviously the guys come out with an actual plan that if they're not going to play, then there's going to be actual plan of action around it, or you can actually use the platform that you actually got and the money that you could be earning from that. And I'm talking about the max players, not so much the role players as such, who can afford to be able to donate big large sums of cash to donate to actually black universities, or actually ask the owners of the team to be able to, and in the city that they're in, to be able to help, just as you guys were saying. So yeah, so I think there's a lot of news and wriggle room ahead. I'm sure that there'll be next week more of this story to add to it. So now we move on to the NFL. I have to breathe on this one. That Roger Goodell has actually came out and actually pretty much has on a video has asked teams to be able to consider signing up Colin Kaepernick. So this is after at least 2 years of Kaepernick not being in the team, and then though teams staying pretty much silent, blacking him out, or not giving him a chance to actually be even have a trial. We've had Pete Carroll from the Seattle Seahawks said, "Oh, he wish he had signed him," which not everyone's buying that as genuine. Guys, do you feel that this was the right move for Roger Goodell to come out and ask teams, to be able to sign up Kaepernick? Do you feel that this is just a PR move? Are you offended by it? What's your view?
I'm a little offended by it now. I said it in the last show. I said there's going to be some sort of PR stunt for Kaepernick. I said it in the last show, and lo and behold, here he is being interviewed, encouraging people to get him now. Why did we discussed it? Loads of people. Why have you not done it years ago? Why now? Well, we know why now. Interestingly, I've not seen Kaepernick come out and say too much either about the NFL and playing ball again. He was it last year? Yes, he was doing all the workouts, and we were like, yeah, okay, this might be his opportunity. He was still shut down. All this tragedy has happened, and now, someone should take him. Why didn't he say, I encourage someone to take Kaepernick when he was doing those tryouts then and doing all the workouts? Because he may have ended up in a team and he may have been in a better position to deliver his message again right now. But it wasn't done. Pete Carroll seems a nice guy, come out and said he regrets doing it. You had countless opportunities. Not only just Pete Carroll, how many opportunities have we watched? Trubisky, just to name one. All these waste QBs that have been there, and we've now in a situation where we've let this talented player obviously become this political figure, and it's just turned into this like absolute tumbleweed of a catastrophe from Goodell for me. And that's what I didn't want that to be. Didn't want that to happen. I mean, we had Josh Rosen in the draft. Jesus. I mean, I could have done with Kaepernick then. There's all these opportunities that he could have been playing and playing as a backup. And I just don't think it's right at this time that we're sort of now sitting here going, or if he does get a team, are people just going to go, oh, it's because of what's been going on? Because that's exactly what's going to happen for me. There's going to be a split and divide in the league going, oh, he's got that place because of this. And it's not actually always going to be about his talent. And let's be honest, think about if he came in a backup position, I don't think there's many backup QBs that are as good or would be as good as Kaepernick. I can't think of any. The only one that's going to come in as a backup potentially is Cam Newton. And who's going to cause you more problems? This is what the main thing is. Kaepernick's not going to come in wearing a Mary Poppins scarf. You know what I mean? So, and I love Cam, but yeah. So yeah, I'm against it. It should have been done many moons ago.
So Daniel, do you feel that this is a right move for the NFL to capitulate embarrassed. Oh, I'm leading you here. What's your? Yeah, I think everyone can kind of tell what I think about it. What's your view about the this new presentation from the NFL on Kaepernick?
I see you leading me, and I'm not going to go that way. I'm not going to get that bait. See, I think different to you boys in the sense that I don't blame Roger at all. I think we forget Roger's reports to the 32 owners. So at the time when Cap was doing what he was doing, the 32 owners didn't support it. You remember a lot of them: Dan Snyder, Jerry Jones, even McCon for the Jags. All were in favor of Donald Trump. And when Donald Trump's saying, I'm going to boycott it, and the guy you're endorsing saying that, is bottom line. These guys are smart. They've got money. They've built their sort of equity to buy these teams. So they know what they're doing. And it's funny. Right now, I think Roger's gone to the point where it's like, look, I care more about my legacy now than anything else. I've been paid. I've negotiated my next contract and my next salary. I don't have to worry about anything anymore. I'm secure. So I'm going to focus on doing what's right. And I think for him, that was sort of looking at sort of, apologizing and saying when we're sorry we didn't listen to you and looking to get Cap. And I think one thing which I felt for me, which made it sincere, was, look, even if it's not in a playing capacity, which he said, let's look at getting you to work with the NFL for social justice in general. And I think that's important. And that's, for me, is when I thought, okay, he was being genuine. Because he could have just said, look, let's just give Cap up to a team. And with Cap, look, I respect what he did and, his initial action in his initial stance. I think my only issue with Cap is speak, mate, talk, mate. You're looking at sort of historical figures. People comparing him to Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali continued to talk. Yes, he was vilified. Yes, he was hated. But the dude always talked. I mean, people could say maybe to the point where it was just, he over-talked, but he still talked. Cap's maybe done a few tweets, said, he hasn't really said anything. Even with the whole thing, he wanted to get his own camera crew. Mate, just talk. I don't mind, you make a blunder. Like, he did the whole Black Lives Matter kneeling, but then he did the whole Fidel Castro's, shirt, which obviously pissed off a lot of Cubans because they, again, look, stick to one thing, stick to persecution of Black people and talk about it and just let us hear what you got to say. And I think that for me, even now, telling it, look, be the bigger man. I know they've railroaded you. I know they've blackballed you. You did get money from a settlement that you signed with them. Let's talk about this right now, because right now you need unity and you need powerful people in your side. And what's more powerful than one of the biggest, if not the biggest game in America, and a big platform to utilize it on. So for Val's Cap, I was like, look, okay, you made a mistake, messed my career up, but going forward, I'm not going to let you do that to other people going forward. The need to do the right thing, the need to make sure that, Blacks and other minorities are treated equally far outweighs my my need for a contract at the NFL, and that's my opinion, really.
I think it's just a shame that this is like, obviously I know Roger Goodell reports to all the owners, so obviously I would assume he's got majority backing to be able to do that. Obviously he's telling that Jerry Jones has not said one word at all from a person that speaks non-stop. Now all of a sudden he's as quiet as possible. So does that? Would I take that as you don't agree with what's going on? You're not going to agree with players that are going to be kneeling. I think that the NFL is trying to play catch up with something that was pretty much a layup for them to be able to deal with, which is, hey, give the guy an opportunity, because there's been so many terrible quarterbacks out there last season that Kaepernick is far better. I mean, this man almost won the Super Bowl. This is the talent of him. Now, obviously, you got to, take into consideration Father Time. I don't know if it's going to be kind to him, but it's a shame that it's taken all of these things and this wave of corporate, companies coming out and making statements that has actually moved the NFL in the right position, in the right direction. And I think it's quite sad that Roger Goodell could do that. However, you know what? I'll take any positive movement, even if it's forced by money. You guys have looked at other stories that just in wrapping up. There's lots of other little stories that are going on in the world of sports. What for the last couple of minutes, what are the stories that stick out to you guys at the moment?
I'll say, look, first of all, give a shout out to Rashford. Look, regardless of your, allegiance to your clubs, you can't lie that what he's done is actually amazing. To get the government to do a U-turn, I think that is the perfect example of using your platform to do for good and inflict change. And I think he's now going to, save over 1 million kids in terms of the starvation, particularly in schools, considering what's going on with the COVID situation in summer. So that's a great shout out. And to anyone who's against him, the Kate Hopkins of the world, I don't really want to mention a name personally, but get lost, really and truly. Like the dude's doing something that's amazing for kids that they don't have. It's not like they were born in. It's not like they chose to be in a dire situation. They're kids. The least we can do is to look after the most vulnerable in society, and that includes kids and elderly. So yeah, all respect to Rashford. Nothing to do with the fact that he's a United lad, but just the fact that what he's done is amazing. So yeah, that's my sort of story of the week, and yeah, definitely praise to him. Yeah.
Sam, who you got?
I think for me is the AJ and Fury obviously agree in their fight, which is great news. Everyone's looking forward to that. Obviously, AJ's got to fight Pulev. Fury's still got to fight Wilder. But just both Wilder fight, money, Pulev compulsory. But it's great news, but not for everyone. Dillian White, the guy just keeps getting knocked back, one fight after the other. There's jumping through hoops, and there's jumping through what he has to jump through to get a title fight again. I don't know what it is. The crazy thing is, he's in the same camp as Joshua with Eddie Hearn. Is it? In my mind, I think it's time for him to almost step away from Eddie Hearn. Don't be with the same promoter as Fury. Either find someone else that has the same clout, maybe even someone from the States that is actually going to push him and challenge and actually, speak to the right person, give the envelope to the right person, whoever that might be, to get in these fights. Because I do feel for him. He just keeps jumping through these hoops. I think maybe if he hadn't fought Joshua so early, when he lost, it may have given him a bit more of a chance to have that fight. It's as if he's like his legacy is almost tarnished already for fighting Joshua and losing. But yeah, I'm hoping obviously that at some point, say once that Fury fight's done, then yeah, maybe he does get his chance. But my fear is that in that time, he's probably gonna have to have had 3 fights by the time it comes around to him fighting the winner of that, potentially, maybe even 4, because they're gonna have a rematch in there for sure, right? So he's got to win all of them again. And he seems to just be fighting the scraps. So I see him linked with Ruiz. So it's like every time one of these guys beats someone, Dillian White's waiting for the scraps. It's like if Fury beats Wilder, watch when Dillian White's linked with the Wilder fight, because that'll be it.
Isn't Dillian White? I thought David Hayes became his manager recently.
But his promoter,
yeah.
is it Matchroom or whatever? So yeah, that's the trouble. And obviously, as I say, it's always going to just cause a few blurred lines in that sense, which isn't ideal. But I'm hoping, as I say, I'm hoping obviously he gets his chance. But I just think we're going to be a long way off before he actually gets to do that.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you about that whole. I think it's because he lost to Joshua so early on. I think that's what it's really putting people off. Like, do we really want to see that again? And I think it's been a detriment to him personally, I think.
Well, I will. Hopefully he gets his chance. It's weird to even talk about boxing at the moment because it's like literally, it's just one sport staggering in at a time. Obviously, football's soccer to American people, leading the way. So fingers crossed that he actually gets his opportunity, and boxing becomes a bit more competitive, and people are not avoiding each other all the time to keep the title. But anyway, that's my point of it. Guys, appreciate you guys joining me again. And, we've had a really good show. I'm sure that there's going to be lots of new stuff that we're going to be talking about next week. Please keep a lookout for the SportsHeads official on Instagram, Verge Mag on Instagram, and obviously our Twitter, which is Verge Mag Online. And see what stories come in next. Thank you guys for a great show, and appreciate you guys keeping we actually stuck to the time limits. Like, come on, except for the end. Him again. No, appreciate you guys. Keep on tuning in and thanks again. Peace.